This lesson will show you how to add decimals using place value strategies and relate to written method. Basically, what that means is we are looking at adding numbers with decimals, and we're going to be looking at them in different forms. The first way that we're going to look at is in this form, where we have 2/10 plus 2/6. And what we want to remember is 2/10 is the same as 0 and 2, and 6/10 is the same as 0 and 6. And then what we're doing is we are adding them together. Now, as we're getting started with this, I would strongly suggest that you use your place value chart to help you line up the numbers. Then we'll get away from that as we go forward. So there are two ways that I want you to know what this looks like. One is where we have your numbers on that place value chart. We have 0 ones, we have our decimal, and we have our tenths. We have 2/10 and 6/10. Okay? Another way that they're going to want you to know is with the dots. I'm not going to ask you to draw them, but I want you to be familiar with them. Okay? So we have 2/10, so we put 2 dots, and we have 6/10, so we have 6 dots. And then what we do is we just add straight down. Okay? Starting on the right side, moving left. So in our tenths, we now have 2 plus 6, which is 8/10. We keep our decimal, and we have 0 ones all the way down. So our solution is 0 and 8/10. On the dot chart, what that looks like is we're just drawing 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We now have 8 dots because we have 2 dots here, and then we add 6 more. And I don't need anything in here for the dot chart. The idea with this is that when we carry over numbers to the next column, we can group them in groups of 10. Try this one on your own. 2/10, 5/1000 plus 6/100. Start it on a place value chart, or at least make sure that you're lining up the decimals. Writing this on the place value chart, I go left to right. I have 0 ones, don't forget the decimal. 2/10, I have 0/100, and that's going to be a mistake that a lot of people make, is that they forget that just because 2 and 5 are next to each other, it's not immediately there because we don't have any hundredths. And then we have 5/1000. For the next number that we're adding, we have 0 and 0/10, 6/100, and 0/1000. So when I add down, I have 5/1000 plus 0/1000, which is 5/1000. 0/100 plus 6/100 is 6. 2/10 plus 0/10 is 2. Decimal and 0 ones. Try this one on your own. 1 and 8/10 plus 13/10. Remember that these are in different forms, so you'll want to convert it into a similar form. The first step that I do when I solve this is I write down that 1 and 8/10 is the same as 18/10, and 1 and 3/10 is the same as 13/10. Because then what I can do is I can add 13/10 and 18/10, or 1 and 8/10 and 1 and 3/10. Personally, when I do it, I would do it with the decimal form, because that's going to be easier for me to just add straight down. Okay, and here's where I show you both the dot chart and adding it. On the left side here, what I've done is I've merged it into the more traditional algorithm for adding, but if you looked at it, I still have it separated into the different sections that we would with a place value chart. Okay, part of what they're looking at with the dot chart is that you have groups of 10 dots in each section, and then you carry them over. So this top section, I start with 8, and I'm going to take 2 from the bottom. And then, because I have those 10, they're going to move over to the next section. And when I count them all together, I see that I have 1 dot remaining here, because the other 10 moved. I have my decimal, which I represented with D, so we don't confuse it with the dots. And then I have my blue dot, my red dot, and the dot that I moved over with the green. So I now have 3 dots. So I have 3 decimal and 1/10. Okay? When I add on the left side, back with the algorithm, 8 plus 3 is 11/10. So I keep 1/10, and I'm moving that extra tenth over to the left side. Okay? Move down that decimal right away, and then I will have my 1 whole, which is 10/10, plus 1 plus another 1, so I have 3 whole units. So my solution is 3 and 1/10.